I reversed my pre-diabetic fasting glucose from 118 milligrams per deciliter to 89 milligrams per deciliter in 90 days by fundamentally restructuring my morning meal. My HbA1c dropped from 6.1% to 5.4%. My fasting insulin fell from 14.2 to 6.8 microunits per milliliter, and my HOMA-IR improved from 4.1 to 1.5. These changes occurred without medication or extreme dietary restriction. I'm a professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, where I've spent over 2 decades studying metabolic regulation and cellular aging. What I've learned from research and my own metabolic journey is that breakfast represents the single most leverageable meal for blood sugar optimization. The foods we consume in the morning set the metabolic tone for the entire day through what researchers call the second meal effect. Here are the 7 foods I now consume at breakfast, the mechanisms by which they regulate blood sugar, and the results I've achieved. Food number 1, eggs, the metabolic foundation. Eggs interrupt the spike and crash glucose pattern through multiple pathways. The protein, 6 grams per egg, stimulates GLP-1 release from intestinal cells, the same hormone targeted by semaglutide. GLP-1 slows gastric emptying, enhances insulin secretion, and promotes satiety. The fat in yolks, 5 grams per egg, further decelerates gastric emptying, reducing glycemic response by 20 to 40% when paired with carbohydrates. And eggs contain virtually 0 carbohydrates themselves. Contrary to outdated guidance, dietary cholesterol has minimal impact on serum cholesterol for most people. Research in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition found that 2 to 3 eggs daily for 12 weeks had no adverse effect on lipid profiles in people with type 2 diabetes. My protocol: 2 to 3 whole eggs each morning, prepared in butter or olive oil. My continuous glucose monitor shows post-meal readings rarely exceeding 105 milligrams DL. Food number 2, extra virgin olive oil, Mediterranean metabolic medicine. Olive oil benefits center on its polyphenol content: oleuropein, hydroxytyrosol, and oleocanthal. Hydroxytyrosol activates AMPK, the cellular energy sensor that coordinates glucose uptake and fatty acid oxidation, mimicking benefits of exercise. Oleocanthal produces anti-inflammatory effects that protect insulin receptor function. The Prediabetes trial demonstrated that a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil reduced type 2 diabetes incidence by 40% compared to a low-fat diet. Beyond polyphenols, oleic acid, 73% of olive oil's fatty acids, increases membrane fluidity and enhances insulin receptor function. My protocol: 1 to 2 tablespoons of high polyphenol olive oil at breakfast. I select oils with polyphenol content exceeding 300 milligrams per kilogram. Meals prepared with olive oil consistently produce 15 to 25% lower peak glucose values. Food number 3, berries, controlled sweetness with metabolic benefits. Berries deliver sweetness while actually improving glycemic regulation through anthocyanins, the pigments responsible for their deep colors. Anthocyanins inhibit intestinal alpha-glucosidase enzymes, the same mechanism as the diabetes medication acarbose, slowing carbohydrate digestion. They also enhance glucose uptake into muscle through an insulin-independent pathway. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 150 grams of mixed berries with a high glycemic meal reduced glucose area under the curve by 24% and insulin by 26%. Blueberries specifically activate PPAR-gamma, the receptor targeted by thiazolidinedione diabetes medications. My protocol: half to 3/4 cup of mixed berries, blueberries and raspberries, with Greek yogurt. On berry-inclusive days, my average glucose for the subsequent 4 to 6 hours is typically 5 to 8 milligrams per deciliter lower. Food number 4, Greek yogurt, the fermented protein powerhouse. Full-fat Greek yogurt delivers protein, fat, probiotics, and fermentation-derived compounds that collectively optimize glucose metabolism. The protein, 17 grams per 6-ounce serving, triggers GLP-1 and PYY secretion. The fat delays gastric emptying. Full-fat dairy consumption is actually associated with lower diabetes risk than low-fat alternatives. As a fermented food, Greek yogurt's lactobacillus strains produce conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, which enhances insulin sensitivity. A meta-analysis in nutrition research found that probiotic supplementation reduces fasting glucose by an average of 7 milligrams DLL and HbA1c by 0.3%. My protocol: 6 to 8 ounces of full-fat Greek yogurt with live active cultures and no added sugars. Peak glucose values typically range 95 to 105 milligrams DLL, with return to baseline within 90 minutes. Food number 5, avocado, the monounsaturated metabolic modulator. Avocado combines a unique fatty acid profile with fiber, potassium, and bioactive compounds. The monounsaturated fat, 15 grams per medium fruit, improves insulin sensitivity. The fiber, 10 grams per fruit, slows glucose absorption while feeding gut bacteria that produce butyrate, which reduces the inflammation driving insulin resistance. The potassium, 700 milligrams, supports insulin signaling. Avocados also contain avocatin B, currently being investigated as a potential therapeutic agent for type 2 diabetes. My protocol: half to 3/4 of a medium avocado at breakfast. Avocado-inclusive meals produce 10 to 15 milligrams DLL, lower peak glucose, and 25 to 30% faster return to baseline. Food number 6, cinnamon, the ancient blood sugar regulator. Cinnamon's active compounds, cinnamaldehyde and type A proanthocyanins, function as insulin-mimetics, activating insulin receptor signaling independently of insulin itself. Research in diabetes care showed that 1 to 6 grams of Ceylon cinnamon daily for 40 days reduced fasting glucose by 18 to 29% in type 2 diabetics. Cinnamon also inhibits alpha-glucosidase enzymes, reducing postprandial glucose. Important: Ceylon cinnamon, Cinnamomum verum, contains minimal coumarin, unlike cassia cinnamon sold in most supermarkets. Regular cassia consumption at therapeutic doses can elevate liver enzymes. Ceylon has thin, multi-layered bark. Cassia has thick, single-layer bark. My protocol: 1 to 2 teaspoons of Ceylon cinnamon over yogurt or in eggs. I consistently see 15 to 20 milligrams DL lower post-meal peaks on cinnamon-inclusive mornings. Food number 7, apple cider vinegar, the acetic acid advantage. Acetic acid, 5 to 6% concentration in standard ACV, influences glucose through 3 mechanisms. Inhibits brush border desaccharidases, slowing carbohydrate digestion. Enhances muscle glucose uptake through AMPK activation. Suppresses hepatic gluconeogenesis. Research in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 2 tablespoons of vinegar with a high glycemic meal reduced glucose area under curve by 34%. Consuming it 15 to 30 minutes before eating produces maximal effect. Caution: ACV can damage tooth enamel. Dilute in water and drink through a straw. My protocol: 1 to 2 tablespoons in 8-ounce water 20 minutes before breakfast. This reduces my post-breakfast glucose peak by 20 to 30 milligrams DL. My complete morning protocol: upon waking, 6 a.m., 1 to 2 tablespoons raw apple cider vinegar in 8 to 12-ounce water, through a straw. Wait 15 to 20 minutes. Breakfast, 6:20 a.m., 2 to 3 whole eggs scrambled in 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil. Half a medium avocado, sliced. 6-ounce full-fat Greek yogurt. 3/4 cup mixed berries. 1 to 2 teaspoons Ceylon cinnamon over yogurt and berries. Additional olive oil drizzle over eggs. Macros: about 35 to 40 grams protein, about 45 to 50 grams fat, about 25 to 30 grams carbs, about 12 to 15 grams fiber. Post-meal: 10 to 15-minute walk, when possible. Research shows this reduces glucose excursions by 30 to 50%. My 90-day results. Metric, before, after. Improvement. Fasting glucose, 118 milligrams DL, 89 milligrams DL, 24.6% improvement. HbA1c, 6.1%, 5.4%, 11.5% improvement. Fasting insulin, 14.2 micro-IU per milliliter, 6.8 micro-IU per milliliter, 52.1% HOMA-IR, 4.1, 1.5, 63.4%. Triglycerides, 167 milligrams per DLL, 89 milligrams per DLL, 46.7%. Average glucose CGM, 124 milligrams per DLL, 98 milligrams per DLL. Time in range 67%, 94%. Weight 192 pounds, 178 pounds, minus 14 pounds. Waist 38 inches, 34.5 inches, minus 3.5 inches. Can I still have coffee? Yes. Chlorogenic acid in coffee inhibits glucose absorption and activates AMPK. I drink 1 cup of black coffee 30 minutes after eating. Avoid sugar and high-calorie creamers. What about diabetes medications? These interventions can complement most medications, but coordinate with your healthcare provider. Glucose-lowering effects may require dose adjustments, especially with insulin or sulfonylureas. How quickly will I see results? CGM shows postprandial improvements within days. Fasting glucose changes in 4 to 8 weeks. HbA1c in 8 to 12 weeks. What if I don't have time? Prioritize protein and fat. Hard-boiled eggs and half an avocado can be prepped in advance. Greek yogurt with cinnamon and berries requires no cooking. Should I worry about egg cholesterol? For most people, dietary cholesterol minimally impacts serum levels. A small percentage are hyperresponders. If concerned, monitor lipids before and after implementing the protocol. Closing. These 7 foods, eggs, extra virgin olive oil, berries, Greek yogurt, avocado, cinnamon, and apple cider vinegar, address glucose metabolism through complementary mechanisms. Protein and fat slow gastric emptying. Polyphenols enhance insulin signaling. Fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Bioactive compounds modulate glucose absorption and disposal. My metabolic transformation demonstrates the power of strategic breakfast optimization. The choices you make each morning establish the metabolic trajectory for your entire day.